Code says it needs to overlap over that ridge about 6 inches, be nailed on the other side, and then cut out the ridge vent, kind of like what you have here. This is where the ridge vent actually needs to be open. Again, everything comes down to code. There's a whole list of codes in the 900 section of the International Residential Code, but our 904.1, as well as a couple other codes, state that anything that's required by the manufacturer is also therefore code. So the manufacturer, in this case Owens Corning, wants the ridge vent cut down about 1.25 inches on each side. So if we measure from the top of this truss, right there, it's right at 1 inch. Of course, if we come back this way and down, it's just short of 1 inch. So in a perfect world, this would probably need to be stripped out just a little bit more. However, the gap that we have here is about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, as far as the opening from side to side. So that's sufficient for what the manufacturer requires. You can see as we look down the ridge here, up and down, that that's all open. So a lot of people say, maybe we should be using box vents or maybe gable vents instead of a ridge vent. That's okay, they're both acceptable. The reason why we want to use ridge vent here, one is that's what was pre-existing. It's already cut open for that. But you can see the opening is a lot larger than what you're going to find on box vents. When you use a standard box vent, sometimes they're called turtle vents or a 750 vent, there's a 6 inch by 6 inch hole. So that's 36 square inches. You multiply that by maybe 10 box vents, which you would find on a normal ridge like this. So that would result in about 360 square inches of open exhaust space. When you look here, there is a tremendous amount more than 360 square inches of exhaust space. The other thing that I like about ridge vent is the entire ridge is open. So it's all venting evenly. That exhaust vent is open, not just in certain areas, but all along the ridge, allowing that air to flow out, that hot air to rise and escape out of the roof, out of the attic. So versus a gable vent, usually what we have is a gable vent is an opening not on the roof, but actually on the side wall. It's usually on the gable end of the side wall. If there's that opening cut there, we have a couple things. One is there's still only a small amount of opening there that doesn't match the amount of exhaust opening that you have when the ridge is open. The other thing is that large opening oftentimes will allow animals, insects, bats, rodents to get into your attic space in a way that the ridge vent will not. Furthermore, as we look around the neighborhood here, you'll see that the style of a gable vent is really no longer popular. There's just not many homes that are built. It's kind of fallen out of favor strictly on an aesthetic standpoint. You do have one over here where they have a gable vent on the front side of the house. Most likely that's decorative, and that's not even actually cut open. Again, you can see across the street where it's cut into the brick over the garage. That's a decorative gable vent. I know that because we actually installed that roof a couple of years ago. So we checked to make sure, because what we don't want to do is mix gable vent with a ridge vent system. So that's a decorative trim piece there. Again, I like the ridge vent because it opens up more space more evenly across the entire roof, as well as doesn't really allow insects, bugs, rodents, things like that, an access point into your attic space. So this roof already had the ridge open for a ridge vent, meaning we would have to then, if we were going to switch to box vents or gable vents, we would have to replace all of the plywood along the top in order to close that back in, then cut 6 inch by 6 inch holes for those box vents. All that would do is actually reduce the amount of exhaust that's open to allow that hot air to leave. So again, a lot of times if there are box vents, we end up replacing that sheathing, that plywood, closing them off, and then cutting in a ridge vent. Almost never do we take something that was already a ridge vent, close that in to go back with box vents. One reason you might want to use box vents instead of ridge vent is when you just don't have enough ridge. So this is what we call a gable style roof, meaning it's all squared off. It's rights and lefts, fronts and backs. There are also hip roofs. You can see on this ranch style roof across the street that on the far right side there has hips, meaning there's basically 4 sides. It's kind of like a pyramid. So those roofs have less ridge, and there are homes that are built where all of the hips come up and the ridge on the home might only be 10 feet wide. Well, then we can only put in a 10-foot ridge vent. That's not going to provide enough exhaust ventilation. So that's a time when box vents would be far more applicable and would be a better idea to use those at that point. This is the proper way to install shingle over ridge vent. First, you take the felt and you overlap over the ridge, a minimum of 6 inch. Then you come back and you cut open the gap where the plywood is gone in the ridge. Then you can install your shingles, and on top of that, your shingle over ridge vent. So you'll see behind me on this roof, that's an older roof. That's a 3-tab shingle, and that's what this roof was. But you'll see that ridge vent is metal. It's actually aluminum ridge vent. It's a very thin metal. It's very easy for the wind to grab hold of that and pull it loose from the house. It's also very easy for hail to dent that. It's a thin aluminum. And so now the newer style that's being used is what we call a shingle over ridge vent. And you can see that on the roof right behind you. This is the style of vent that we're going to be going back with on this install. Personally, I think that looks a lot cleaner. It's got a cap shingle that goes over it. It's a lower profile. It looks very clean, blends in. Aesthetically, it's very pleasing. But it's also a lot more functional. It's far less likely to blow off, it's far less likely to be damaged by wind, and it's far less likely to let animals get inside that ridge vent. When you have an aluminum ridge vent, and you can see on the very end of it, it's open. Whereas the shingle over ridge vent has a solid piece on the outside edge, so it doesn't allow an opportunity for mice, bats, anything like that to get in. So there are also several different types of shingle over ridge vent. So yes, we're not going to use the aluminum ridge vent, we're going to go back with the shingle over ridge vent. But even in that, there's 3 or 4 different styles that each manufacturer carries. We are using the highest grade one from Owens Corning, which is the Venture, which comes in 4-foot pieces of shingle over ridge vent, and it's got the filter on the back side. In a minute, we'll jump down, take a look at what that looks like. So this is the box, this is the ridge vent that we're using today, that we use on most of our installs. It's the 4-foot strip vent with what they call the weather protector. I want to show you what that is. So this ridge vent comes in a 4-foot section. You'll see that it comes with its own nails. That's very, very important. We'll jump to that in a second. So this is the ridge vent. It gets bent over top of the ridge like this, and then it's nailed into place. You'll see here that's got this thin filter. This is really important. When this is on the top of your roof, water's running downhill. So there's really little chance of water, wind-driven rain getting back in here. However, what does happen in the winter, if you have snow on your roof, as that snow lays on the roof, the wind will blow and drift that snow up the roof. And now you've got something that's designed to shed water, but now you've got moisture, water, snow coming up the roof, and it can come in through these vents. So one of the things that this does is helps protect that from happening. It packs the snow so that snow really can't come through into that ridge vent. It also helps protect from things like bugs and wasps and mosquitoes and all kinds of things that you don't really want getting in your attic space. So if you're going to be using a ridge vent, I would highly, highly recommend that you make sure it has a filter on here. There's really just no need not to. The other thing you'll notice is that this is fairly rigid. This is a nice, thick piece of plastic. A lot of the ridge vents come in a roll, and they're literally unroll on the roof. They're very thin. They're very easy. When you step on it, it crushes it. These hold up much, much better. Now I want to talk to you about the nails, because some people will say things like, I don't think the ridge vents are a good idea because they get blown off easily by wind. And if they're not installed properly, that's actually probably true. There's a reason why these come with nails. If you'll notice, these are large 3-inch nails. They're also ring shank. There is actual placement where these nails are supposed to go. If you were to use a shorter nail, a roofing nail that you nail a shingle with is 1 1/4 inch standard. And 1 1/4 inch is not going to fit through here. You can see right here that just for it to get through, is 1 inch, which means that once that thing is driven, that nail is driven through here, there's less than 1/4 inch actually grabbing the wood. That's why you need to use a longer nail, and it needs to be a ring shank nail so it grabs that, and as the expansion and contraction happens, that nail won't wiggle loose and come up, it'll hold tight. So, again, this is your 4-foot piece of ridge vent that's going to be bent over, nailed properly, and then a cap shingle will be placed over top of this to give it a nice cleaner look, something that's a little more aesthetically pleasing than just having a big metal bar or a big black piece of plastic on the top of your roof. Selecting the right contractor for your roof install, your roof replacement is an important decision. Hopefully you're going to have that roof for 20, 25, even 30 years. You need to make sure it's done right, and it's very hard to tell the difference between what's a good company and what's a not so good company. What company is going to install a high quality roof and what company maybe won't. So there's a few things that you can do. One is you can make sure that the contractor that you're working with has the highest level of certification from the manufacturer that you're using on your roof. Today, we're using Owens Corning products, which is what we specialize in and what we use 99% of our installs. We are a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning, which is their highest level for residential contractors. Another thing that you can do is making sure that the materials that are used are the proper materials. So a lot of contractors will say, we're going to replace your ridge vent, but with what? Like I said, there's about 4 or 5 different levels of ridge vent that each manufacturer makes. So if they're using the bottom barrel, that leads me to some other questions. The synthetic felt that we're using, there's different grades there. The ice and water guard, there's grades there. Are you using the proper amount of ice and water guard? So when it comes to selecting a contractor and making sure that you're getting a quality install, the devil's in the details. You really need to make sure that you understand that estimate, that it's very thorough. Each line item has a description of what the product is and how much of it they're using. A lot of competitors will say, oh, we're putting on ice and water guard, and they are, but they're not putting on the proper amount. Here in Cincinnati, the vast majority of installs require 2 rows of ice and water guard at the eaves, as well as in the valleys, sidewalls, perforations in the roof, things like box vents or plumbing vents, and most roofing companies are not doing that. They're installing 1 row at the eaves and in the valleys and maybe around the perforations. How are you going to know that? One way is to make sure that the quantity of the product is listed on the estimate, that you know how many squares of shingles, how many feet of valley metal, how many linear feet of ice and water guard, things like that, so that you can make sure that you're comparing apples to apples and choosing the contractor that's going to treat your home the best and give you the most peace of mind knowing that you're protected. So thanks for taking your time watching the video today. We're in Milford, Ohio, which is a suburb on the east side of Cincinnati in a gorgeous neighborhood here, replacing another roof. We'll catch you on the next one.